Ashanti Hills was a town steeped in tradition and mystery. The market square buzzed with life during the day, with traders shouting prices and children running errands. But when the sun dipped and shadows lengthened, the bustling energy faded into a hushed stillness. The townsfolk spoke in whispers of the Fufu seller, Nana Oma, whose small wooden shack stood at the edge of the dense baobab forest. Her fufu was legendary. Travelers from neighboring towns and even faraway cities came seeking her skillfully pounded yam, cassava, and plantain. Her peanut soup was a creamy delight, her light soup danced with the tang of fresh tomatoes and goat meat, and her groundnut soup carried a smoky undertone that lingered on the tongue. Yet, there was something peculiar about Nana Oma. She only opened her shack after dusk, and no one ever saw her during the day. Her customers swore they never saw her gather water, pound yam in daylight, or buy ingredients at the bustling market. Still, they came. Nana Oma's shack was simple, a thatched roof, a wooden sign scrawled with "delicious fufu," and a few wooden benches. She wore the same attire every night, a white wrapper with blue patterns, and her head was always wrapped in a scarf. Despite her humble appearance, she had an air of otherworldly grace. Kweku, a curious young man, often heard whispers about Nana Oma at the bar he frequented. "Her fufu is so good, it feels like it has healing powers," one man exclaimed. "Aye, but have you ever noticed the way she stares at you, like she's looking into your soul?" another chimed in. Others recounted tales of strange occurrences. A hunter swore he had seen her carrying heavy sacks of yams in the dead of night, but when he approached to help, she vanished. Kweku's curiosity was piqued. He was a storyteller, and Nana Oma seemed like the perfect subject for his next tale. He decided to investigate. One crisp evening, Kweku made his way to Nana Oma's shack. The aroma of freshly pounded fufu and simmering soup filled the air. The sight of the small crowd outside the shack surprised him. Even at this hour, people were eager to eat her food. When his turn came, Nana Oma greeted him warmly. "Welcome, my son," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. Her eyes, deep and knowing, seemed to pierce through him. Kweku ordered a bowl of fufu with groundnut soup and goat meat. As he took his first bite, he was struck by its perfection. The fufu melted in his mouth, and the soup was a harmony of flavors, rich, smoky, and comforting. "You are talented, Nana Oma," he said, trying to start a conversation. She chuckled softly. "The food comes from the heart. When you cook with love, it speaks to the soul." "Where do you learn to cook like this?" he asked. Her smile faded for a moment, but she quickly recovered. "From my mother," she said simply. Something about her tone left Kweku unsettled, but he couldn't pinpoint why. Over the next few days, Kweku dug deeper into Nana Oma's story. He asked older residents if they knew where she came from, but no one seemed to have clear answers. "She's been here for as long as I can remember," said Mame Efua, a retired teacher. "But she doesn't age, does she? Looks the same as she did 20 years ago." Others had stranger tales. "Once, I was walking near the forest late at night," said Kojo, a farmer. "I saw her standing by the river, talking to someone. But when I looked closer, there was no one there. Despite the odd stories, no one could deny her kindness. She often gave free meals to those who couldn't afford to pay. A sick child who ate her fufu was said to recover within days." Still, the whispers persisted. Determined to uncover the truth, Kweku decided to stake out the shack. Late one night, he hid behind a tree near the forest edge, watching as Nana Oma closed up for the evening. She moved gracefully, cleaning her mortar and pestle and covering her pots. Then, she did something strange. She picked up a small calabash from a hidden compartment beneath her table. Kweku watched as she walked into the forest, the calabash glowing faintly in her hands. He followed her, careful to keep his distance. The forest was eerily quiet, save for the crunch of leaves underfoot. She stopped at a clearing near the river. Kneeling, she poured the contents of the calabash into the water. The liquid shimmered, and Kweku could hear her whispering. Her words were in a language he didn't recognize. Suddenly, the air grew cold. The shadows around her seemed to shift and take form, dark, ghostly shapes that hovered near her. Kweku froze in terror. Who's there? Nana Oma's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Kweku stepped out from his hiding spot. It's me, Nana Oma, he stammered. I wanted to know who you are. She sighed deeply, her shoulders slumping. You shouldn't have come here, Kweku. Please, he begged. I won't tell anyone. I just want to understand. Nana Oma motioned for him to sit by the river. Her face, usually so calm and warm, was filled with sorrow. I was born over a century ago, she began. In this very town. I loved to cook, and people came from far and wide to taste my food. But my family, they were jealous. My siblings conspired against me, accusing me of witchcraft. Kweku listened, spellbound. They drove me into this forest, she continued. I had nothing, no food, no shelter. I starved to death by this river. She paused, her voice trembling. But my spirit couldn't move on. My love for cooking, for feeding others, was too strong. So I stayed. The forest spirits took pity on me and granted me the ability to continue my craft. But there was a cost. What cost? Kweku asked. I am bound to this place, she said. I can never leave the forest. And I must feed the spirits who saved me. They are the ones who give me my ingredients. Kweku's eyes widened. The spirits, they are real. She nodded. They are not evil, but they demand respect. Every night, I offer them a portion of what I make. In return, they let me serve the living. Nana Oma looked at Kweku with a grave expression. You must promise me something, she said. What is it? Never tell anyone what you've seen tonight, she said. If the spirits feel betrayed, they will take their revenge, on you, on me, and on this town. Kweku hesitated, then nodded. I promise. For weeks, Kweku kept his promise. He visited Nana Oma's shack regularly, but he never spoke of what he had seen. One day, he noticed something strange. The usual crowd outside her shack was gone, and the air felt heavy with unease. He approached the shack, but it was empty. Nana Oma was nowhere to be found. Rumors spread quickly through the town. Some said she had moved on to another place. Others believed the spirits had finally claimed her. But Kweku knew the truth. One night, as he sat by the river, he caught a faint whiff of her fufu in the air. It was a reminder of Nana Oma, the ghostly fufu seller who had fed the hungry, healed the sick, and kept her secret until the end. Years later, travelers passing through Ashanti Hills would sometimes report smelling an irresistible aroma near the forest. The townsfolk would smile knowingly and say, "That's Nana Oma. She's still with us, watching over her people." And so, the legend of the Fufu seller lived on, a tale of love, betrayal, and redemption that would be told for generations.